Hello friends, I am Arpit and I am here with today's analysis. Today is 7th of October and we're going to deal with three very important topics which are in news. The first is classical language. The government of India has accorded classical language status to five new languages. These are Bengali, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese and Marathi. There were six already existing classical languages in the country. Now, with the addition of these five, there will be 11 classical languages. These classical languages are those languages which are existing since antiquity and have become important to conserve them. Various benefits like an award is announced for excellence in these languages. A chair can be set up in the national universities across the country in these languages. And, scholars of these languages have better prospects for their future. In a nutshell, it is nothing but conserving and promoting cultural values of the country. Next is the much talked about and anticipated PM internship program. This PM internship scheme was announced by the finance minister in this year's budget speech, and on 2nd of October this became a reality. On 12th of October, registrations will start on an online portal. The youth who are aged 21 to 24 years of age can apply for this internship. There are certain restrictions like any youth whose family income is more than 8 lakh rupees or is a qualified chartered accountant or is a postgraduate cannot apply. It will increase employability of the youth on one hand, and on the other hand, it will bridge the skills gap, which is huge in India. Internship is basically kind of a system of granting skills to the people and making them more employable. That is what the government is aiming at. And the next is SDG 13, urgent actions to combat climate change. This is one of the most pressing SDGs which we have to discuss. And because climate change or global warming is one thing which is impacting the world right now the most. Now, starting with the first topic, that is classical language status. On October 3, 2024, Union Cabinet led by the Prime Minister declared five new languages as the classical languages. These are Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Assamese and Bengali. Actually, the Linguistic Experts Committee under Sahitya Academy identified these five languages as meeting the revised criteria for classical language status. Now, what is the criteria? What is the revised criteria? We will see, and then we will get a complete understanding about it. Actually, UPSC has asked questions with respect to classical languages in the past in prelims. So, before getting into the criteria, let us look into the importance of classical languages. Why declare a language as classical? So, designation of a language as classical serves multiple purposes. First, cultural preservation. As I told you that, you know, these languages are, I would say, an important element of culture. Culture is something which is a way of life. And, you know, this cultural tradition is which is passed from one generation to the other generation. That is called as tradition. So it is important to preserve this cultural element, that is language. Then only it will be passed on from one generation to the other generation. We are living in a globalized world, no doubt about this fact, where we are learning new languages. I'm talking in English, and English is not an indigenous language of our country. But yes, this is the language which is most widely spoken around the world. But yes, we should not forget our traditional practices or our culture. So, tagging a language as a classical language definitely aims at cultural preservation. Knowledge transmission. Classical languages have historically helped in transmitting philosophies and values across generations. So, this can continue, this trend can continue because there are certain philosophies or there are certain, I would say, knowledge elements which are there in deep rooted in languages. But what if those languages are not preserved? If those languages are not preserved, then that knowledge transmission will not happen to the future generations. So that is also one such a purpose, knowledge transmission. Cultural identity. This recognition emphasizes contribution of these languages to India's diverse cultural fabric, reinforcing the importance of linguistic diversity. Criteria for declaring a classical language. Now, we have a criteria and we have revised criteria also. So talking about the criteria which was first identified by the government in 2004. Government of India established specific criteria for classifying languages as classical. Primary criteria includes high antiquity. Antiquity means it is from the past. Language must have a recorded history of over 1000 years or early texts. Valuable literature it should have. It should possess a significant body of ancient literature recognized as heritage by generations of speakers. Then original literary tradition. The literary tradition must be original and derived from another and not derived from another community. Sorry. So it should be exclusive, it should have valuable literature, and it should be old enough. Old enough means at least 1000 years old. This was the criteria set out by the government in the year 2004. But there were revisions in the criteria. The first revision came in the very next year, that is 2005. Required a history of 1500 to 2000 years. Earlier it was 1000 years. Included ancient literature and recognized possible discontinuities with modern forms. Means it should not be, changed in modern forms and all. It should be the original text. That is what we can understand from this. 2024 revision, another revision came this year. Maintained the antiquity requirements of 1500 to 200 years, emphasized a body of ancient literature and knowledge texts, including prose, and allowed for distinctions between classical and modern forms. So, modern forms of any languages also emerge, but there should be a clear distinction between the modern forms and the age-old classical forms. That age-old classical form will be classified as classical language. Modern forms or modern versions of those languages will not be classified as classical languages, and they will only be able to we will only be able to do that because if we have this clear distinction with us. Now, how many classical languages in India? With this inclusion of these five languages, that is Marathi, Pali, Prakrit, Bengali, and Assamese in 2024, we had already included 6 languages as classical languages. Which are these 6 languages? Tamil in 2004, for the very first time when the guidelines were here, Tamil was demarcated. Sanskrit in 2005, Telugu in 2008, Kannada in 2008, Malayalam in 2013, and Odia in 2014. So it was in 2015 when UPSC asked a question based on classical language, because 2014 Odia was included as a classical language. But yes, one remarkable thing you need to know over here is that Hindi is not included as a classical language, because Hindi is derived from Sanskrit, we can say. So it is this way. Now, steps taken to promote classical languages. Central universities is in 2020 established to advance the study of Sanskrit. Central Institute of Classical Tamil was there. It is focusing on translating ancient Tamil texts and promoting research on them. Centers of Excellence created for the study of classical Kannada, Telugu, Malayalam, and Odia under Central Institute of Indian Languages in Mysuru. Then national and international awards introduced to recognize achievements in classical languages. Some additional benefits of classical language status. National awards for classical languages are given. University chairs and dedicated centers. University chairs simply means that separate departments can be created in the universities for classical languages, and the government support will be there for establishing those departments. So this is how we can approach this, or we can learn about it. Impact of declaring a language as classical language. Employment opportunities increase, yes, because increased job prospects in academia, research and all. So those people who are wanting to study these languages, do research further in this, then obviously their job prospects will be there. The government will be paying them for the internship fees and all. Then preservation and documentation. Efforts to preserve, document and digitize ancient texts will generate jobs and promote research. That will also do. Encouragement of scholarly research. Increased studies related to ancient texts and knowledge systems vital to India's intellectual identity. And cultural pride. This recognition fosters pride among speakers, promoting national integration and cultural self-reliance, or Atmanirbharta. Next is PM Internship Scheme. Prime Minister's Internship Scheme was announced by the Finance Minister in this year's budget speech. Employment generation is one thing which this scheme is focusing upon, and employment generation was one of the hot topics during this year's general elections. It was quite commonsensical that the government would do something about it. Well, we cannot as of now say that the government has done something about it, because now the scheme has been launched. Let's see how it gets implemented. Let's see how many people it impacts, because it aims to impact 1 crore people over the next 5 years. Is it giving them jobs? Well, not exactly. It is giving them internships. Internships will be paid, no doubt about the fact. But internships will be internships only, they will not be jobs. Once the internship period is over, then it would be left to the employer to decide whether during your internship your performance was good or not. And accordingly, if it was good and you had contributed in some value addition in the organization where you were, as an intern, you were deployed as an intern, then you can get job offers. Or there can also be another possibility that you learn the skills and you use the skills in another companies if there are requirements in another companies. In a nutshell, in the internship period, you will learn skills and you will be paid for learning those skills. And it depends upon the economic growth of the country, employability of the companies over here in India, whether they will employ you or not. Well, an assumption over here is that we are growing at a very fast rate, somewhere around 6.5 to 7%. This growth rate definitely will be leading to job creation. But the main focus should be on ample job creation. It should not be jobless growth. Means growth though is sustained, but that growth is not able to generate so much of jobs. That should not be the scenario like it has been till now. So that is the main thing, or the main, I would say, approach from which you need to approach this particular topic. Now, key objectives: it seeks to enhance youth employability. Employability simply means making them worthy of employment. How capable they are of employment or getting employed in India by offering hands-on exposure to real-world business environments. It represents a transformative opportunity to bridge the skills gap and drive sustainable growth. Financial support: monthly stipend will be given. Will receive monthly stipends of 4,500 from the central government via direct benefit transfers. Company contribution and additional 500 rupees will be provided by the company's corporate social responsibility fund. So in total 5,000 rupees so you will be getting. Baki, it depends on the employer also. Eligibility criteria: to be eligible for the PM internship scheme, candidates must meet the following criteria. First, age should be between 21 and 24 years old. Employment status: must not be engaged in full-time employment. Education: must have passed class 10 or higher. Some exclusions are there. Individuals from families with government jobs are excluded. They will not be having this access to this scheme. The scheme is not open to postgraduates. No. Graduates from premier institutes like IIT, IIM, IISER, or those with CA or CMA qualifications are ineligible. They are not eligible. Candidates from households where an individual earned an income of rupees 8 lakh or more in the fiscal year 2023-24 are not eligible. So even if one member of your family earns 8 lakh or more, then you will not be eligible for this particular benefit. In total, the government is targeting 1 crore internships in the next 5 years. Application process: the portal registration is there. The government is definitely bringing into picture its digital public infrastructure. So you have to go and register yourself over here, pminternship.mca.gov.in. Application timeline: the portal will be opened for applications on October 12th, with the first application window closing on October 25. Data submission: candidates must share and self-certify their educational qualifications and residential PIN codes. AI matching, that is artificial intelligence matching. Candidates' data will be matched with companies' requirements using artificial intelligence tools to generate a shortlist for consideration. And application tracking: applicants can check the status of their applications on portal once submitted. So it is going to be like this. Benefits: the person will be getting on the job training, means some new skills will be learned by that person, because in India there's a huge gap between what you learn in the classrooms and what you learn on the shop floors. So this will give this Industry advantage, it will create a pipeline of skilled, work-ready youth. It will also benefit the industry because, see, if there is a gap, what in this thing, in your employability skills, means what you are learning in the classrooms, it is not applicable over there. The company has to spend a lot of money and time to skill you. But here, the companies will also benefit because they will have access to readily available skilled workforce. Because these interns, they might have done internship somewhere or the other, and they might know something or the other about that. So it will create a pipeline of skilled work-ready youth who can be employed post-internship in both large enterprises and micro, small and medium enterprises. Sustainable growth, by enhancing employability and skills, the scheme supports sustainable growth in India's economy. So this is how things are. Now coming to SDG 13, urgent action to combat climate change. Climate change is something which is impacting the entire world. Well, the impact on the underdeveloped and developing is more as compared to the developed world. So it is quite natural that it had to be part of the SDGs as it is. Now, goal 13 basically talks about, or it emphasizes urgent actions to combat climate change and its impacts. Climate change, primarily driven by human activities, threatens life on Earth and is occurring at alarming rate. We know that very well. Now, Earth's tipping point. Tipping point basically is a term used for that change that has happened due to climate change, which is irreversible. Like, for example, glaciers are melting, and in some region, glaciers have melted, and there are no glaciers existing now. So, we can say that the tipping point has been crossed because that change which has been there, that is melting of glaciers, is irreversible. We cannot, go and form glaciers again. There are multiple water bodies which have dried, so they are dried. Like we have a classic example of Aral Sea in Central Asia. So, standing at the brink of climate calamity we are. The world will exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2035. 1.5 degrees Celsius by 2035 simply means that the pre-industrial temperatures, that is from 1850 to 1900, the average temperature of these 50 years, if I take, let's suppose as X degrees Celsius. So we had kept this target for ourselves in 2015 Paris Climate Pact that by the end of this century, that is by 2100, by this year 2100, we, means globally, the average temperatures of the earth should not exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius from the pre-industrial level temperatures, that is the X degrees Celsius. So we had to meet this target by 2100. The global average temperatures should have been 1.5 degrees Celsius more than the pre-industrial temperatures. But what we are seeing is this will be achieved, x plus 1.5 degrees Celsius will be achieved by 2035. Just imagine what will happen by 2100. And in this only, we will see a lot of disasters. In fact, we have not reached this point yet, but still we are seeing a lot of disasters. So imagine what will happen over here in 2035 and imagine what will happen over here in 2100 if we keep on increasing the temperatures. That will definitely and drastically alter our ways of life. Targets and goals: strengthens resilience, enhance resilience and adaptive capabilities to climate related hazards in all countries. Integrate climate measures in whatever actions are being taken by the governments over there, like planning, strategies, policies and all. Improve education and awareness about climate change, global warming. So, collectively, the people can do a lot about it. Financial commitments: mobilize $100 billion annually from developed countries to support developing nations. Unfortunately, this is the climate finance goal which is not being met. It had to be met since 2020 onwards, but it is not being met. And guess what? This year or probably next year, we are going to adopt a new climate goal. It is going to be called as New Collective Quantifiable Goal, NCQG. In this year's COP, we might adopt, and that figure definitely will be more than $100 billion, which the developed countries have to give to the developing and underdeveloped countries. Then capacity building: promote effective planning and management for climate change in least developed countries and small island states. Small island states, why? Because these are at the threat of submergence due to glacier melting, and glacier melting will rise the sea surface levels, which will definitely submerge these small island developing states or low-lying islands, we can call them. Key issues: climate crisis. There's a global impact. Climate change will affect every person in every country across all continents. Its repercussions include extreme weather events, rising sea levels, and ecosystem disruptions. Cataclysmic threat. Without immediate action, the looming climate cataclysm could undo significant development progress. Like, there can be more disasters, cyclones and all, floods and all, heat waves and all. Heat waves, floods, cyclones, all these kind of disasters due to climate change will be there, and it will hamper or it will impact food availability. It will impact whatever infrastructure development the governments do, they will get destroyed. It will take away a lot of lives also, and overall it will bring a lot of hardships. So those are called as cataclysmic threats. Current trends: temperature targets limit global warming to 1.5 degrees Celsius by to 2100, but I don't think so this is going to happen. Historical context: the period from 2010 to 2019 was the warmest decade on record. The warmest year on record was the previous year 2023. It is expected that 2024 will be the warmest year, but let's see. The average temperatures will be out by January or February, I guess, and we will get to know what the exact situation is. Consequences of inaction. Now, when I talk about rising temperatures, if unchecked, global temperatures could rise beyond 3 degrees Celsius, severely impacting ecosystems and exacerbating issues like food and water scarcity, leading to potential conflicts also between various countries. Mortality rates from 2010 to 2020, highly vulnerable regions, home to 3.3 to 3.6 billion people, experienced 15 times higher human mortality rates from climate-related disasters. Some facts and figures. IPCC is Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change. Again, it is a scientific research body under United Nations formed in 1987. Now, it has recommended this that states can deep, rapid and sustained reductions in greenhouse gases emissions are essentials across all sectors. Immediate action is crucial on this. Current insufficiencies, pace and scale of current climate action are inadequate due to effective address. So this is what we need to understand and know. And according to IPCC, only one more fact and figure if I tell you, we, the developing and underdeveloped world are as of now entitled for getting $100 billion from the developed world, which they are not getting annually. Highest is somewhere around 83, $84 billion. We need $6 trillion to be invested in climate related activities by 2030 if we want to achieve the 1.5 degree Celsius goal by 2100. If this investment is not done, obviously this 1.5 degree Celsius goal will not be achieved. Means it will be achieved at an earlier date. That is going to be disturbing. And technology has the answers to this. Collectively, we will have to fight. Solution and strategies: raising ambitions. We need to raise the ambitions with respect to our climate commitments, climate goals, where global commitment is important. Sectoral transformation is also important. Sectoral transformation, let's suppose I pick up agriculture domain. So it is important to adopt such kind of strategies where I am making the entire agriculture more climate resistant, where there are crops which require less water, micro irrigation can be used. There are certain crops which become resistant to heat waves, so climate adaptability is important. So all these things, consumption patterns are important. Like India advocated for observing 2023 as the International Year of Millets. Now this International Year of Millets is basically proposed by India. India is the largest producer of millets in the world, no doubt about the fact. But why did India propose it? India's logic was that we are too much dependent upon wheat and rice, and wheat and rice supply was impacted during Russia-Ukraine war a lot. These are the staples across the world. Now, what India said was, कि भाई, we can look to other alternates also, yaar. Why only wheat and rice? We can look towards millets. These are equally good, in fact, more nutritious than wheat and rice. Why aren't we consuming this? Above all, these millets can grow in semi-arid and arid regions. And more and more, these kind of regions are growing due to climate change and global warming. So we can at least start consuming millets, and by start consuming millets, we can, ensure food security at least in this, era of climate change. So that is why, to generate awareness among the people, International Year of Millets was observed. So the idea was this, to generate awareness, to alter the consumption patterns of the people. But let's see how much they get altered. Financial investment, climate finance overview. According to UNFCCC, climate finance flows averaged $803 billion annually in 2019 to 20, a 12% increase from previous year, but still inadequate to meet climate goals. Developing countries' efforts, by 2019, at least 120 of 153 developing countries had undertaken activities to formulate national adaptation plans, marking 29 countries increase from the previous year. But yes, as I told you, not only developed, but the developing countries also need to, collectively deal with this menace. And India, being a developing country, is doing a lot. So, talking about SDG 13 and India. So, in case of India, we are aiming to tackle climate or take climate change measures, disaster risk reduction measures, sustainable resource management measures into our national development strategies, because we need to develop. We are developing, we need to develop, and in the pursuit of development, emissions will happen. But we are trying to de-link development and emissions. That is the main goal. De-linking means, de-linking simply means development भी हो and emissions ना हो. So अभी क्या है कि there is linking. Development is happening, so emissions will happen. But if we de-link it, development will happen. That will not stop. But emissions will not happen. So that de-linking has to be achieved by us. 19.2 disaster preparedness score of India was there. 43.28% electricity generation is from renewable energy sources, which has increased substantially in the last, I would say, 10 to 15 years in India. 94.86% of industries comply with environmental standards, around 95%. 15 lives lost due to extreme weather events in 2018-19 per 10 million people. This is okay for India. 3469 disability adjusted life years rate attributable to air pollution per 1 lakh population. So disability adjusted life years rate means pollution is taking away our lives. So adjusting to that scenario, how many years of life or how many, I would say, people have been impacted due to that, it is this figure. Now SDG India index, if I talk about it. So towards this SDG 13, 5 national level indicators have been identified, capturing 2 of the 5 SDG targets for 2030. State scores ranges from 30 to 81. UT scores ranges from 13 to 80. Top performers, Sikkim and Tamil Nadu. Sikkim so definitely is doing organic farming, very less pollution, very less littering. All these kind of provisions are followed in Sikkim. Front runners, 13 states and 2 UTs scored between 65 and 100. 4 states and 5 UTs scored less than 50. So, front runners are these green states which we can see. Performer states are these yellow states which we can see, and red ones are the aspirant states. The aspirant states need to, fasten their seat belts and, look forward for environment conservation. The key highlights: fatalities due to extreme weather events. SDG target 13.1 aims to strengthen resilience against climate related hazards. Statistics: during extreme weather events in India in 2018-19, India experienced 15 fatalities per crore population. We saw that. Highest fatalities, Himachal Pradesh 472, floods, landslides and all. They are quite common in hilly areas, and all these can be attributable to the climate change or global warming. Followed by Arunachal Pradesh, another hilly state. Best performer Haryana, 1 fatality per 1 crore population. Plain state, fertile state, not a problem. So topography also plays a critical role over here. Extreme weather events include cyclones, heavy rains, floods, landslides, etc. etc. Disaster preparedness assesses the disaster management system of various states UTs on a scale of 0 to 50. National score 19.2 in 2019. So 0 to 50 is that scale on which we are there, 19.2. Top states Maharashtra followed by Gujarat Lowest score, Jharkhand 7.5. UT performance, Delhi 25, Chandigarh 24.5 are the highest. Share of renewable energy, INDC, stands for Intended Nationally Determined Contributions, or these are the climate goals also. We have committed very ambitious INDCs for the first time in 2015. Then we upgraded our INDCs in 2021. So this India aims for 50% of total electricity generation from non-fossil fuel sources by 2030. Currently 43-44% we are generating from non-fossil fuel sources, with a target of 450 gigawatt from renewables. Current achievement as of April 2024, 43.28% of India's electricity generation came from renewable resources. Leading states, Himachal Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh. Lowest performer, Bihar. So here Bihar needs to, amp up. Air pollution, DALY rate. The disability adjusted life years rate due to air pollution is 3469 per 1 lakh population 2016. Lowest Delhi is Nagaland, highest Delhi is Rajasthan 4528. So Nagaland is performing well basically, and Rajasthan is poorly performing. So this is how it is. Compliance with environmental standards, national compliance rate 94.86% of industries comply with environmental standards. States with 100% compliance, Goa, Manipur, Nagaland, Sikkim. Lowest compliance, Arunachal Pradesh. It needs to ramp up because it is a hilly state also, and if it is not complying, so then it will have consequences due to it. UT performance, Chandigarh leads with 100% compliance. Initiatives taken by Government of India. So National Action Plan for Climate Change, this was launched in the year 2008 by the Government of India, and it had multiple strategies to tackle climate change. It had 8 core missions: National Solar Mission, National Mission for Enhancing Energy Efficiency, National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, National Water Mission, National Mission for Conserving the Himalayan Ecosystem, National Green India Mission, National Sustainable Agriculture Mission, and National Mission for having strategic knowledge about climate change or climate conservation. Then Paris Agreement 2015, it was a landmark year, and in this Paris Agreement we submitted 3 INDCs, means these were climate goals submitted by India. And India ratified this Paris Agreement in 2016, committing to reduce emission intensity of GDP by 33 to 35%. Emission intensity means how much emissions you are doing to generate 1 unit of GDP. So we had to reduce our emission intensity by 33 to 35% from the 2005 levels. So that was basically our aim. Aims to achieve about 40% cumulative electric power installed capacity from non-fossil fuel sources by 2030. Targets creating an additional carbon sink of 2.5 to 3 billion tons of CO2 equivalent through forest and tree cover. So that was there. Renewable energy, India has set ambitious target for renewable energy, aiming to achieve 175 gigawatt of renewable energy capacity by 2022. Various initiatives like National Solar Mission, National Wind Energy Mission, and National Biofuels Policy are promoting renewable energy development. National Biofuels Policy we just covered last week, where I told you about E20 and 5% biodiesel and diesel. Energy efficiency, National Mission for Enhanced Energy Efficiency focuses on improving energy efficiency in various sectors like industry, buildings, transportation, and all. Like a classic example over here is availability of LEDs. LEDs consume less power, so that is energy efficiency. Or you can see those star ratings on your electronic appliances. That is also promoting energy efficiency. Initiatives like energy efficiency lighting program and appliances labeling program, as I just mentioned. Sustainable agriculture, National Mission for Sustainable Agriculture aims to promote sustainable agricultural practices to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, because see, agricultural emissions are also too high. Mechanization like tractors and all, or transportation of agricultural products will be counted here. Apart from it, a lot of methane gas emits from the rice fields. All these are contributing factors from agriculture. So we need to have organic farming, we need to practice smart agriculture, so that we overall are able to reduce the losses. Forest conservation, National Mission for Green India focuses on increasing forest cover and restoring degraded ecosystems. Initiatives like afforestation programs, community-based forestry are being implemented. Talking about climate finance, the Indian government has established National Adaptation Fund for climate change to support adaptation projects in vulnerable regions. India is also actively participating in international climate finance mechanisms like the Green Climate Fund and all. And India has been a big advocate of increasing the climate allocations, or I would say climate finance, by the developed countries to the developing countries. India is also focusing on capacity building, where we are focusing on mitigation and adaptation initiatives. Initiatives include training programs for government officials, researchers, and civil society organizations. Talking about international cooperation, India is actively participating in international climate change negotiations and collaborating with other countries to address global challenges. India has been a strong advocate for climate justice and the need for developed countries to take greater responsibility for reducing emissions. So, these are some of the few things which India is doing. India is doing much more than this as well. Being a developing country who is not responsible for, who is not morally responsible for climate change. So, if I see the total emissions from India in the atmosphere as of now, so it is only around 3 to 4%. The major emissions in the atmosphere are done by the developed West. That is why they are morally responsible and they should be giving more money to the developing and underdeveloped world. Now going to the MCQs. First, which of these have been identified as classical languages by Government of India in 2024? Bengali, Tamil, Pali, Marathi. Comparatively easy if you remember the 5 languages which have been included in 2024 now. Consider the following pairs and mark how many of them are correctly matched. The keyword is how many. Language, Tamil. Year when identified as classical language, 2008. Telugu, 2004. Assamese, 2014. So only one pair is correctly matched, only 2 pairs are correctly matched, all the pairs are correctly matched, or none of the pairs are correctly matched. Third, consider the following statements and mark the correct one. First, the PM Internship Scheme aims at providing internship to 1 crore youth in private companies over the next 5 years. Second, PM Internship Scheme also aims to bridge the skill gap. Which of these options are correct? Fourth, who of the following is not eligible for benefits under PM Internship Scheme? So be very careful, not eligible. Any graduate, any person whose family income is exceeding 8 lakh rupees per annum for FY24. Only one, only two, both one and two, neither one nor two. Fifth, the last question, which of these is not part of National Action Plan on Climate Change? National Biofuels Policy, National Mission on Sustainable Habitat, National Mission on Enhancing Energy Efficiency, National Solar Mission. So, which of these is not a part of National Action Plan for Climate Change? Now, the answers to the MCQs of 5th of October, that is Saturday. World Tourism Day is observed on which of the following days? It is basically 27th of September. And 27th of September is not this option, not this option, not this option. Hence, D is going to be the correct answer for this. Consider the following following statements with respect to Dharti Aba Janjatiya Gram Utkarsh Abhiyan and mark the correct one. The scheme will be applicable in all the states and UTs? No, it is not applicable in those states and UTs where scheduled tribe population is not there. So this first statement is wrong. Scheme aims at filling the gaps in education, healthcare and livelihood. Yes, these 3 domains, it is there. It will fill the gaps. So only 2 is going to be the correct answer. Third, which of these is a criteria to be labeled as a PVTG? But that is particularly vulnerable tribal group. Pre-agricultural level of technology they are using? Yes. Low level of literacy? Yes. Stagnant population. Now, we use this word stagnant or declining population. So, stagnant population also is part of it. So, 1, 2 and 3, all of the above are the criteria for being labeled as PVTG. Currently, there are 17 tribal groups which are labeled as PVTGs in the country. Consider the following statements with respect to National Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan and mark the correct one. It has been developed by IUCN. No, it has been developed by Worldwide, uh, the Worldwide Fund for Environment Conservation, the NBSAP tracker. India has revised and submitted its NBSAPs. No, India has neither revised nor submitted its NBSAPs. So neither 1 nor 2 is going to be the correct option for this. Fifth, consider the following statements with respect to Global Biodiversity Framework and mark the correct one. GBF was adopted in COP15. It is correct. COP15 was UNCBD, but this portion is not correct. This GBF COP15 of UNCBD was conducted in the year 2022. So hence this statement is wrong. It has 23 targets and 4 global goals to be achieved till 2030. So 23 targets have to be achieved till 2030. 4 global goals have to be achieved till 2050. So this statement is also not completely correct. So neither 1 nor 2 is going to be the correct option for this. These were a bit tricky, but yes, we need to solve tricky questions as well. So with this, we come to an end of today's session. I will be seeing you on Tuesday, obviously tomorrow, with more such informative news pieces. Till then, you guys very well know what to do. Keep studying, keep reading, keep writing, and most importantly, keep revising. Keep watching the videos, keep attempting these questions. This will definitely enhance your MCQ attempt skills. Namaste, Jai Hind.